Okay, so hi. So I'm having this several art style experimenting, and I realized there is some of this thing that I need to change, which based on these chapters where we are going to follow it. So basically, I am mentioning all of this based on my experience. And if you guys want to see some more of things like this, subscribe. Now, all of you will be familiar with this thing called as line art. Line art is basically just like the first rule of drawings. Like, there's these steps called as like sketch, line art, and then color, and then rendering. As you all know, those four things are the things that will impact your art style. So here are my tips on finding my own art style. Now, I wasn't gonna say that you guys have to follow these tips of what I'm implying with, because I haven't really experimented much. But you guys can try to find another things. 1. Just do what you like. So for a first trier, we as an artist would always use line art as in like the first rule on drawing. Truth be told, I never used line art on my first time on drawing, which caused this. Okay, so this is my very first time using a pen on drawing. Something so yeah, this is like what an abomination is. That's really cringe. And I mean, now there's just an experience, guys, so but as you can see, I used like no line art on it. Then when I came to see some of these tutorials on drawing and some other things, I saw a lot of artists use line on it, even used for a sketch drawing like them. They're incredible. So I was like, oh, so drawing has to use line art. Okay, that was a bad choice. Just because that was the first rule doesn't mean it was gonna be your own rule. 2. Don't force your art style. So because of this rule, I tend to always use this line art as somehow to make it more lookable of something that you're trying to draw. Like, your mindset will thinking like, I just thought without a line art, I wouldn't have the right things to draw. At first you're gonna use some sketch and then go to line art and then go to color. Now you put the color down, the line art layer, and then done. Now mostly to say that doesn't give me the satisfaction of my art, because I'm always stuck with this one rule, just to use line art to make it lookable. So what should I do? I need some experience and to experiment. So number 3 is take the risk. Since I was telling you that I'm always stuck with this one rule to use line art, because I thought that line art will make your art look orderly, that make it clean, neat, that probably make it presentable. But no, sometimes your art doesn't have to look like it. You're trying to stuck in those perfect ways that it doesn't even convince you to take the risk of showing your wild style of art that you are comfortable with. I mean, art doesn't have to be neat or clean or like a smartly transformed lifestyle clothing, no offense. But you can create your art to be an eye-catching, like people now seems to love seeing those effects from people's art, like those neon lights, those cross-cutting structure of shading. Like some of those effects, like there's a lot of it. And most likely we would use to say as a rendering. Now, rendering has something to do with the color wheel, so 4 is color wheel. Now, you all will have probably heard this thing, such as analogous, complementary, triadic, tetradic, and yeah, else. You know what? I'm gonna sponsor someone to this. Try what's Blue Biscuit. Her videos is like so helpful for me, and I really hope that her videos is gonna be helpful to you guys as well. For the color wheel, I'm gonna explain using this circle over here, which I play the shade by dividing it into 3 steps. First one is the base color, as in the pure color that I'm using. So the pure color I'm using is blue, and the blue is like a light color, which is a little bit of neon. Second is the between into the darker saturation. So I just gonna have to do this. reducing the light color to the darker color. Which count as the third one is a darker color saturation. Depends on its base color. So just like the second one, I decided to make it the darker even more darker. But if you feel like that between the second and the third, you want to add another color on it, you can do it by using the same method, by putting up the color that was dark before into more light. That means making the saturation into more lighter. So for example, as these two circles that I already mentioned a while above, we see the 2D that we can create it with 3 steps, make it into more like dimensional, which is on the left. And if it's the color of the skin, then it's divided into something like this. So if we can see the between the right and the left, the right one seems to be something that was not quite right. On the left one, seems to be more dimensional and even more vibrant. While on the right one seems to be something that was not quite right. As we all can say, it was decent, which is it's good enough, but not that good as in the left one. And so some artists will probably just blend it all, but I don't blend it. Like, I want to make it even more like vibrant. Because if you see the color that doesn't go blend, it looks like that it was timid, like it was pumped. Like it's giving you the energy of being spirited on doing this art, like you're enjoying this. So why do I make this color 1 and 3? Because it's like a blend in. Like you're rendering and you're just gonna blend all of this. But since mine, I didn't make it smooth or that, because I want to look it more vibrant. Now some people will use a fade or lower saturation as a light base color, or dark or pastel, some kind of color depending on their tone saturation, like what they would like to use, as in they comfortable with. But I use the color depending on how the character look like. Sometimes I use like the bright purest red or green or blue, depends on the character look like. But that doesn't mean you have to follow those color of the reference. You can actually take the risk to experiment those new colors, but I maybe just comfortable with the pure color. So I just play around with those shades value to make it more likely satisfied for me. The fact that I'm just placing this whole color beneath the beloved line art make it more cartoonish and satisfying to me, but it depends on what you guys are comfortable with. But for as known as even a darker value color can also be used as a line art, which is even more fun to add than you have to use the line art and insert such as a clipping mask thing. So before and after, before and after.